this is the introduction.
That's exactly what she was talking about.
Welcome to the Nixa and Lenovo Champions of Change podcast. Let's introduce ourselves. Cam, maybe go first.
Oh yes, hi, my name's Cam. I'm a content creator for Nixa, and I love playing video games.
Bruh. Like the most effective place introduction ever.
We're all gamers.
I like playing video games.
My name's Frozen, I play CS for Nixa. I like shooting people in the heads, mostly with orb, but yeah.
In game is what I meant to say. I'm Enrico. Also stream on Twitch, mostly with my boy Cam and Jordy. Sometimes I get him to carry me in games, and I also just play shooters most of the time.
Yeah, Enrico's here to sign some important documents.
I'm here to sign some documents. I fell into a jacket when I got here. It was so nice, but it's comfy. So
Is that what happened when we got you? You tripped and I
Yeah, I tripped.
and then
I tripped and I fell, and then Dale was like,
You almost crushed me.
And I just jumped, and I was like, I feel right at home, you know. It's so nice.
Okay, well, I'm Jordy. I'm a variety streamer and content creator for Nixa. But I thought it would be great to just start off this podcast with Frozen to how you actually got into the esports scene and community as especially a player, because it's quite different being a content creator and definitely a player.
I would say I just started playing with friends. My dad was very into the DGL things in Call of Duty. So we started playing with him and his team at the time. And from there on, we started playing CSGO. We, as in me and my twin brother. And after my twin brother, we didn't really click in the game because he wouldn't listen to me.
It still happens.
It still happens, but after that I just started joining teams. I see people say LFP in the name, which stands for looking for player, and I would join them, play in the DGL, and from there on I got picked up from, I think it was Sin 5 was my biggest pickup, and from there on was Nibble. So I just start playing with friends.
Nibble?
I played with Nibble.
You didn't. What?
I did. Nibble
For how long?
I think it was for a whole year.
What?
You're like 12 years old.
The team was with Rogues. Okay, I only remember Rogues. That's all I remember.
So, did you think CS is the only game you feel you could go pro in? Or was it ever at some point you considered maybe going pro in another sort of game?
PUBG.
No man, I've never played PUBG.
We have an announcement to make. Frozen is joining PUBG. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
I was thinking about Call of Duty or Apex because I just love my first-person shooter games. Yeah, I'll take Cam as my second player for the next game.
you're not going to do very well. You're not going to be second, but yeah, we'll
At
try.
least I'll listen more than that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And what about going overseas? Have you, because I know definitely being a player in South Africa, it's quite hard, and I think we can get into that topic later on in the podcast, but what are your thoughts of wanting to go overseas? Because for a player financially, also being in a South African scene is quite difficult financially, and it's not a viable option as well. So what are your thoughts of wanting to kind of make it overseas and go international?
My dream is to go overseas. Hopefully it is with Nixa because it's an amazing org and the people in it are very helpful. They understand.
Oh, don't do what Proud father of Nixa.
The dream is to go overseas because in South Africa the money isn't that great, but if you get your first place spots in every tournament, you can make a handsome amount of cash.
Yeah.
But having an org is probably the best thing you can do as a player if they have the financial background of helping people go overseas or just protecting their players from bankruptcy if they go overseas alone. So having an org behind you is the best decision to make.
And I maybe want to switch to Cam because I feel like Cam's probably out of the three of the content creators, I feel like Cam's probably the best at games.
Whoa.
I'm ready to say, Cam.
No shit.
You're playing every game you
I love how they're fighting it out. It's not.
but it's the truth. No, here's the thing. You play a lot of variety games. I play one game and I still suck.
Thieves, CSGO God,
You're
silver Apex player.
All you have to do is go exclamation mark spray and draw your stat.
Yeah.
It's like 4 different clips.
Dude, here's the trick, okay? You whistle your way into all the orgs, especially the next org, and you get the carry, the best player in their team. I'm sorry, Blaze. The best player in their team, and you get them to come carry every day. Then you look good on the street. But I'm not proud of anything. You're definitely the best.
That's
definitely
what I'm saying, like, have you
Because you can pick up any game and you make it genuinely entertaining with your, like, not only your personality, but the way you talk and the way you interact with people. When you play golf, I despise that game. And I watched you play and I was like, why am I enjoying this?
That was so fun.
Exactly.
It was really, really fun. But in terms of like competing and stuff, probably not a lot of people know because I didn't do very well, but I tried to compete in Call of Duty back in like 2016, 2017.
Which Call of Duty?
Black Ops 3 mainly. What was the one before that? The one after Infinite Warfare. So Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, I played that when I was still on controller. Thank goodness I swapped. When I still used to play on console. So yeah, I used to play competitively then, but never like at a DGL stage or anything like that. I would always go watch and try to be the fanboy, but I was never good enough to be on stage. And like now, I think my focus is definitely more on content purely because I've seen how the best play, like with Apex for example, I played with Chambi, Masuko, all some of the best players in South Africa, and like it's quite scary how much better they are, same as you. Watching you guys play, you, Lightning, Blaze, everyone, playing with Rusty, I was like, I don't even understand, like how are they that much better? Like they are that much better. Like
Rusty reached it and I'm like, how did you
yeah, it's like
How do you participate?
Yeah.
they're genuinely so far ahead, so I realized like, listen, you're not that good, but you can have fun and still be kind of good, and yeah, that's why I'm like, I'd rather stay out of it. I take my hat off to people that compete because like scrimming, tournaments like all the time. You guys are like, every time I check there's like something happening. I'm like, how do I even keep up with how many things are going on with in terms of like what you guys are competing in? So yeah, I don't think I could do that.
When you did want to try compete, were you in an org then, or?
I think we made our own org, me and my friends from school, called the Punishers. We didn't punish anyone. we got punished. We were called the Punishers. It was horrific. So yeah.
From the Punishers to the Punished.
Yeah, basically, we should have called ourselves the Punished.
So you've been doing content and gaming for quite some time then?
Yeah, I'd say quite a while. I did like briefly dabble in streaming, like back then on card as well with like Fortnite.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a long time ago, and then like when obviously COVID hits and all that stuff, it really started to boom, and then I was like, well, let me get back on it, and then I started playing Apex, met people in the community, and then kind of just went from there. Yeah.
Can I just say though, I'm just taking a bit back to Frozen here, the fact that he started playing games and like leagues with his dad.
I mean, I started with my dad as well.
That's
we used
pretty
to play
sick.
on the PS2. We played like racing games together, and that's how I grew up with games.
Racing.
Okay, but
Split screen and online. I mean, come on, bro.
The first games were like also first-person shooters.
Yeah, on
Halo, and
that's where it started.
Crisis Wars.
But I think that's so cool. Like, I think a lot, maybe our generation, like, let's say if we ever have kids, please never me. If we ever have kids, I would raise them like to play games and stuff because I would love to like jam with my little boy or girl and jam some games and stuff. I think that's super cool. So like someone like you, I'm pretty sure there's other people in the scene, and this is something I'd love to throw your way. I've actually thrown this question your way, but I'd love to put it on an official form in a sense. Or like, how do you how do you approach your parents? Because like obviously it's very difficult to tell your dad like, "Sup, homie, I'm gonna play card professionally, and I'm not gonna become a doctor." Like that's a conversation I feel like some kids in South Africa has to have, especially in our scene, and especially our scene not being the biggest. I mean, we established that, and but we have orgs growing that for us, and we have a lot of people putting effort into making it bigger. So what would you say, like from your point of view, how would you tell them to have that conversation?
I would just play casually at first before having a conversation with them, getting into a competitive scene slowly and showing them what the benefits are from gaming. Like you make friends online playing games, or enemies sometimes, but hopefully more friends than enemies. But if you show them the rewards you can get out of competitive gaming, like for example CSGO's Cash Cups, which is every second weekend of the month, you can pretty convince them full on to support you if you show them what money is into these things or put into these things.
I mean, even with content-wise, when I like trying to explain to my mom or my parents how making getting money from content works, she didn't understand the concept. So like when she started seeing how much I was making, she would make jokes of like, oh, you're taking your clothes off at night, like that we don't know about. So it's things like that. It's quite a hard concept. But it's quite a hard concept for like, I guess, like our older generation to kind of understand how we're making money from literally sitting behind a computer and creating content or playing games. Like, it's quite a different concept to grasp on, I guess, for that generation.
I think most parents, if you watch someone play, like if you watch Cam play or watch Henry play or watch you play, they don't understand why we like watching someone play a game instead of playing it ourselves.
That is my sister, from someone who doesn't game. She's like, I don't understand how people sit and watch you for like however long you stream for, so like say 4 to 6 hours. Like she says, I don't know how, like people probably think you're funny, but like I could never sit and watch you for like 4 to 6 hours. So, I mean, it's just completely different. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's like my dad. He's like, why are they watching you play the game when they could just buy it and play it themselves? And I was like, it's not the point. They want to watch me fail, but don't they want to play themselves? No, not really.
It's funny on camera. Just
yeah, exactly. That's literally what, like, he was so confused and like, he didn't understand that concept. But it was really cool. I don't know how your parents have taken it. I was going to ask you, especially with you going full time and saying, like, because that was a big jump. Obviously, it's been over a year now. But like when it all happened, it was like really exciting. It was a big thing, I'm sure, for you and for everyone else as well. Because seeing content creators go full time is really awesome. Because realistically, that's what we all want. But where was I going with this whole thought process now? I've gone blank. I was going to ask you, how did you feel? How did your parents feel? How did your guys' parents feel?
Because I'm not full time, and the idea of me going full time does scare me.
Yeah.
Like I'm still at home, and I'm at the point where I don't need to worry about all my like finances of like housing, paying all of that stuff. But it scares me. Because as a content creator, you never have a set salary. It's always fluctuates. It's 1 month you can do so bad, and then the next month you can make tons of money. So it's quite a scary factor.
I always tell everyone that has this conversation, but I tell them the same thing, like you have to have a backup plan. Or like at least put some money away. Sell your car, I don't care. Make a way to have some money. I think that's such an important, it's such an important thing because I could have gone full-time, everything could have fallen apart, but I knew that I wanted to go full-time for a while. Like that's something I really enjoyed. I like streaming, I still like streaming. It's something that I really wanted to do, so I gave myself a year. I was like, I'm gonna stick it out a year and do this corporate and stick with it for you, but I'm gonna save as much as I can. And by the end of that year, I had, like, if I literally lived on 2-minute noodles, which was very impossible if you knew what I looked like back in the day. If I literally lived on 2-minute noodles, I would have been able to make it for at least 12 months because I had that much money saved up in a bank account. And I remember when I made the decision and I told my parents, my dad's reaction was literally, "Woyere." That's the words they just said.
So that's where you get that from?
Because my dad's a cop and my mom is in the Air Force. So to them, they have no idea what they're doing.
Wait, your mom's in the airport?
Yeah, my
like
mom.
Top Gun?
Well, she's not a pilot.
That's crazy.
She buys the...
Your mom is basically someone
She
cruise.
buys the... Yeah, like the fuel. She buys like the fuel... for the plane. She's a procurement officer. But yeah, telling them was... I think it's an important conversation to have with your parents as well to make them understand. And I think that is a really, really good thing.
That's
because
well.
yeah, you have to make them understand, like, hey, I want to do this full time, and you have to explain to them how you're gonna make money. And you have to tell them, listen, I'm not gonna get a salary every month, or I might not get a salary in this month, for example. And I feel like if you make them understand and you show them what you're passionate about, they might really, if you can make your parents understand and show them, not just tell them, show them. Show them that where your passion lies with regards to content creation, what you can do, other people you've met, other people you've done content with. If they can see that, I'm pretty sure a light switch could go off somewhere. Well, I hope for their sakes at least.
I feel like their biggest concern would just be the financial like aspect for you, like
As any parent should.
for you. Yeah. Okay, so welcome, Brennan. We've brought you in to maybe talk more about how esports has like developed in like South Africa itself and the league and how to actually get into the scene, because it's quite like to be honest, when I first started, I had no clue there was a gaming scene until I joined Twitter, and I was like, oh, there's actually a community of people that have the same interests as I do. So like I thought we could maybe talk about something along the lines of that, on how to actually get yourself involved, like included into the
Where do you start from the beginning of?
Yeah, awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much for the invite of being able to join you guys here. It's always exciting to be in a room of like-minded individuals that have a passion for gaming and esports and content creation in general. As someone that's kind of been out of the scene for quite a couple of years, there's not, I hope there's a little bit of value I can still add from my perspective, but from my side and being able to work with various brands and things like that, it's really understanding how you want to get into it and where you want to really position yourself. So the way I got into it back in 2008, 2007 was with the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which to my idea is still the best competitive title where you could do a release.
I was 5.
Oh, why would you say this? so yes, I am old, but I used to play Pro Mod back in the day when the Telcom League was still called the Doom Gaming League. We used to also compete at Rage, and that was always the big hype back then. I mean, we used to have about 140 teams competing in a league and things back then. We had Premier League to first, second, third, fourth div, and that was, for me, it was more just about finding the game I was passionate about. The way I got into gaming was also through shooters and things like that. My parents were very anti it, so I used to sneak over to my neighbor's house, who some of the OGs in the scene might remember Next Lights. Some of the OG CS players might remember that name, but I used to sneak over to his house because he had a spare computer. We used to play Call of Duty. We started on a website called Rig Gamming, and I just ended up finding quite a passion for that specific game. Luckily, I also managed to enter that game during the height of its kind of peak, when a lot of people were really passionate about Pro Mod, passionate about Call of Duty. There was a lot of opportunities within that, but esports in general within South Africa hadn't really picked up a lot of steam yet. Of late, it really has picked up a lot of steam, but COVID. Definitely. But it was more about finding that game that I really related to, that game that I also could see myself enjoying no matter how hard I had to work at it, because it took hours of practice a day. It would take all this different effort, and it's not something I could say, okay, I'm getting sick of this now. Because if you really want to get into esports, you have to understand that at the end of the day, it's going to feel like a job. So is content creation. It's a job you're passionate about, sure, but you have to still treat it as a job. You can't just treat it as like a fun side hustle. So you need to find something that you're going to be passionate about. Don't find something that within 2 weeks or a month or 3 months from now you're not going to be passionate about anymore.
100%. I like the reason I started streaming was literally for fun, and then I was like, okay, I really enjoy this, and I turned it into something like more of a career. Like I'm earning money, and it's something I enjoy doing. So instead of seeing it as a job, it's a career that I just enjoy doing.
No, exactly. I mean, again, that's why it's so good to highlight trends that's currently going on. So from a content creator's perspective, I'm not a content creator, but for me,
I feel like you'd be a great content creator.
Sure, I've never even tried. Well, I did try once. I think I played League of Legends on stream for a while.
You played what? LOL?
I got to Diamond 3 in League of Legends, man.
I literally nobody asked about League. I'm just saying.
I used to bully Enrico in League. That's how we did it. But it's also about identifying trends. So I think being a content creator is really difficult because there's very specific niches that you need to kind of fit yourself into. And even then, it's not just something you're going to start and a month later. You can buy yourself the sickest setup with the camera. Sorry, I'm allowed to say that. The camera and microphone and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean you're going to start getting your 100 viewers and your Twitch partner status by the end of the month. Some people, it takes 3, 4, 5 years before they get noticed, before something starts happening, and then they get upset because it's like, this brand doesn't want to sponsor me, or this person doesn't want to partner with me, and things like that. And it's because at the end of the day, brands don't care about how good you are at a game. They care about how many people you're reaching, and your numbers. That's really what it comes down to. You could be the best CS player ever, but a brand's not going to care. If you've got 100 followers on Twitter, why should they sponsor you?
Don't call me out.
No, I'm not.
I know you're very involved with brands. Maybe we can touch on that topic a little bit later when we talk about how content creators start building their platform and actually getting into the community and then reaching out. Because in the beginning, you're not gonna all of a sudden just have sponsors with only a few hundred followers. You have to build that platform. So I think it's also important for esports player and how they also get into the scene and how they also get partnerships, sponsorships, because I feel like that would also be quite something challenging, especially as I'm not into esports. But I'm in esports, but I'm not a player. Yes.
I think getting sponsors for gaming is probably the hardest thing because you're not.
Well, maybe let's start with you actually. How do you join the scene, and how do you actually how did you get where you were here now? Where you're in Nexa, you're with Lenovo now, how did you get here? If you had to tell someone that is completely new to gaming and they want to be in the exact same position as you, how did you start?
Getting into the CS League, I actually just looked for people because only high school E-League I'll talk about that in a second. I only did it for 1 year because our school didn't really know about esports. They thought it was something that isn't worth their time, so they put it as a small sport, something that people can do on the side. But as soon as they saw we showed them a video about Comic-Con where the high school league plays there, and they were very, very interested in it. So they started picking up as soon as we matriculated, me and my brother. But getting into a high school E-League is a lot easier than getting into a big or representing a big organization at the top of the esports scene. So getting into, all you have to do is go to your esports teacher if you have one, otherwise you have to bring it up to your sports or the higher ups in your school and just explain to them why this is something you want to do, or you have friends that want to do it with you, and there is what's the word I'm looking for? People want it in your school. It's an attraction. It will be an attraction to your school. It will bring more people into the school, so it's more money for the school because more students. But having a high school esports team, it will really bounce up, because if you make it to the Comic-Con, if you make it to Comic-Con finals as a high school E-League team, the top players or the top organizations will start looking at you if you perform.
I think there's also quite the way that I kind of got into esports was I found a game I was passionate about, a game that I'd be able to see myself spending months playing. Got a couple of friends together and we were like, guys, we're all not half bad at this game. Let's find a free competition to enter. Let's just see how it goes. We got absolutely dominated, but you live and you learn from that, And then it was like, okay, guys, we actually had fun playing this together. Maybe if we tried a couple of practice here, maybe if we watched some other pros from overseas play, things like that, we could try whatever they're doing. And in the next tournament we enter, we're going to be able to do that. And we started doing more and more of that until, next us and we got, I want to say picked up, it sounds weird saying that from a South African esports perspective, but we got picked up by a slightly better team that was in Prem for Call of Duty, and this kind of all happened so fast. But when I look back now, it took about a period of a year before it even reached this. But, we eventually got picked up, and that's kind of how we saw. When we just started as a group of friends that wanted to play, we did badly in our first tournament we ever did. We were like, okay, let's look at what the pros do. Let's watch overseas games. That's where we started. We took notes of what they were doing. We took notes on how their rotations and things were working and all those kind of things. And that's how it really started to develop. So I think also taking a lot of inspiration, if you really want to get into the esports scene, taking a lot of inspiration from others, from watching how competitive titles are played overseas and things like that. And from there, that's how you can also find if you're really going to be passionate about the game that you want to enter into too.
Yeah, so get motivated by the players from watching.
So do you feel that if you were in a school league first, it would be easier to go from a school league to like an organization after you kind of finish school? Or do you feel that you should almost aim for an original, how do I say this? Like an organization that's on its own, that's outside of school, that's like...
That doesn't bind you to a contract or anything.
Well, I wouldn't bring the contract in, more just like an organization that isn't kind of linked to a school. Like, would you say it's better to kind of aim for one of those orgs, or like an org that you kind of, if you go to the school, it's kind of it's more easier to get into the E-League. So do you think that E-League helps you to get into other orgs, or do you think you should just instantly aim for other orgs and not kind of even look at it like an E-League if you are in school?
I would say start as early as you can. So that means not playing E-League. The only time you could play E-League is when you are grade 10, because they don't allow grade 8 and 9s because it's a 16 plus game.
I forgot
that is crazy because
that is a thing.
So the schools don't allow you to play under their team if you're not grade 16. If you're not 16 and above. So I would say start as early as you can, because the organizations out of the E-League do not really care about if you're too young to play the game, for instance. But starting as early as you can would give you that, I would say, that mental state of grinding the game more, having that motivation, having known what kind of things you expect in the game. So you could bring that into the E-League and then make a name for yourself through that. So starting early, let's say if you start at grade 6, you start playing CS or any sport at grade 6 and you work on yourself, you can bring a lot to the team when you start playing in the high school E-League.
So now I know exactly how I'm going to become a pro player next.
I think it's important to highlight the fact of something you pointed out at the start is like getting to know people. So even from a younger age, obviously there's social media or whatever, but there's a lot of hubs as well. Like not only Twitter. I mean, I think Twitter is very big for. I feel like most things, but especially if you want to get into the scene in South Africa. With our scene being so small, everyone kind of knows each other on Twitter at least. So there's so many easy ways to get your names out there, because if you're looking for a team or you're looking to join a team, you can put a feed out on Twitter. We have basic hubs, we have like forums, where there's literally you can go hang out and streamer. You can literally go hang out in streamers' chats, and people will talk about, getting like an extra player for the COD team or the Fortnite team or whatever. And if you get to know more people, it's an easier way.
It's
I think.
all about networking.
Networking in the end, not only with content creation but also getting into esports and getting your name out there. Because if you're going to sit home alone all day and you're just going to play by yourself and you're not going to, as you said, talk to other people, like you're going to kind of find yourself in your own little bubble. You need to be able to branch out of that bubble. That's why I'm pretty amped to see like schools do more school leagues, because it is becoming a bit more of a thing. When I was in school, I never thought that would even be a thing, but now there's like full-on leagues. And then if you don't play in the school leagues, you have every 2 weeks there's cash cups that is free to enter. If I'm not wrong,
the ECA is almost like the Faceit hub, but there's more money put into ECA. The ECA hub is more. You have to pay 45 Rand per month.
Oh, you have to subscribe.
Yeah, you have to subscribe to be able to play on their launcher or their hub. Because if you can't play on their anti-cheat, which prevents people from hacking or cheating in your game to make it more fair for people. So if you don't pay that fee, you won't be able to play in the cash cups or in the league.
For the younger generation, they can just mow their lawn like once a weekend for their parents. That's fine.
I've never got pocket money or anything like that.
That's fine.
There we go.
Only my pocket money is the cash cups.
But those are pretty like insane opportunities for players. So like, what do you think the insane opportunities are for going to like an international level or like even local? Like what do you think an insane opportunity for a local organization for a player? Like going to, for example, like Nixa going to Rotterdam. Like what would you feel like your next insane kind of opportunity given your way would be?
I would say if you make it overseas with your organization, the first thing you need to think of is working as hard as you can to improve overseas. Because if you think about it logically, if you qualify for an overseas tournament from South Africa, you're only going to be there for that tournament, and then you're going to come back to South Africa unless something else gets planned or whatever. So putting in the work and then showing what you are capable of on that tournament will attract other players or organizations from overseas, and they would want you on your team. So getting picked up from another organization or just having that opportunity to stay overseas, play overseas, grind a lot of hours into the game is probably the next step as a local organization or player.
But I also think it's important to take on these opportunities, because I feel like there's I actually get so mad at this, because people will constantly complain there's no opportunities, but then opportunities are given to them and then they complain about how small the opportunity is, or they just don't take it. And I feel like seeing the right opportunity, yes, it's important, but if you get an opportunity, take it. No matter how big or small, especially if you're starting out, if you're new in it, if you're in a small team or starting in a small team or whatever, if there's tournaments, into the tournament. Even if you're going to get started.
It's a crucial part of growing, and I think a lot of people aren't.
We have people constantly talking about like how there's not enough tournaments, but then there's tournaments every week and then no one enters the tournaments.
Yeah, no one enters. There's a team I know because it was a part of my dad's clan, his old clan he was a part of. They didn't want to play in VS, the DGL. They didn't want to play in it because they said teams like Bravado is getting the upper hand, but meanwhile it's just them not putting enough time or understanding why they are so good or why are they getting these opportunities. So they didn't want to play at all. So they just did the smaller tournaments. I think ACGL, for example, had a smaller tournament. So they just entered there because top teams didn't enter.
But I think that's also an important part, is grabbing those opportunities. So like when I actually contacted Nixa, I had a few other people approach me saying like, like, do you want to join this org or that org? And I was like, okay, all of these orgs reaching out to me aren't the orgs that I feel like would suit me best. And I think that's also an important part of like, I'm a creator going into an org. It's like I shot my shot with Connie, and it was so awkward because when I had sent the message, I was typing on my MacBook and I sent into the message sent and I wasn't done, and it was so embarrassing, and I quickly deleted it, and next minute he messages me, he's like, it's okay, continue, and I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing, but now like I shot my shot and here I am. So it's like, it's important to take those opportunities where you can, even if like I wasn't even planning on being part of Nixa, I was planning on going for a smaller org, but I shot my shot anyways, and I think it's important to take those opportunities that you have, no matter how big, no matter how small it is, because it's a part of growing.
Even making your own opportunity.
Yes.
Like creating your own opportunity in your own field.
You have to work for that and almost make it like happen. And then maybe I also wanted to talk to Enrico about starting out as a creator and entering the scene. And I think an important part of our scene is, I think there needs to be more networking like going on. And I know you and I, we've been like planning a lot of content recently, but I feel like as a newbie to like start content, how do you get into the scene? Or maybe is it not too bad of an idea to kind of do your own thing, or maybe start out and like reach for bigger than just focusing on like, I want to make it to the scene, I kind of want to go bigger.
Well, content creation in itself can be so many different things. My field is streaming, doing short form content and stuff like that. That's where my main focus, and that's always been my main focus since I went full time. So I think once you have an idea of what you want to do, maybe you want to do photography, maybe you want to do video shoots and stuff for pro players, or you want to go shoot the photos at like big events, or if you want to be a streamer, for example. I think it's important to find where you're going to be comfortable. And if you want to do all of it, do all of it. The more the better, and it's important to make sure that you're good at, or you do your best to be good at what you're doing. A lot of people come to my streams, and I'm pretty sure you get this a lot, and they're like, dude, what mic should I buy? Or like, what's the best webcam? Or like stuff. And then I'm like, why do you care? Like, you don't need the best gear to start. It's about starting. Literally just start. Just go live. I'm going to talk from the perspective of a streamer here, so just go live. Go live as you do. People are not going to flood in the first day.
I feel like the biggest mistake that people make is being like, I'm going to wait until I have this equipment, or I'm going to wait until I have that equipment. And if you keep saying I'm going to wait, it's never going to happen. And that's what I learned very fast. Is I was streaming with a DSLR, which was quite something insane in the beginning, but I didn't have all the equipment for it to run. So it would die an hour into my stream, and that's how I started. I was playing Fortnite without a webcam for like anything after an hour of my stream was just no webcam. And that's how I had started on YouTube, not even Twitch. So it's like just starting, I think, is the biggest.
Yeah, just start.
Yeah.
Just start doing whatever you want to do.
And then you can worry about everything else later.
Make an opportunity, like you said. So just start, and this can be content creation, it can be getting into esports. Just start doing what you're doing, and then once you found yourself in a place where you are content, or not content, where you're happy with where you're going, where your growth is, then you start working on the place where you don't have growth. For example, your social medias, and the biggest thing that we have now, and people are so lucky, TikTok and Shorts are literally a cheat code. It is a cheat code to better growth. Making more content on other platforms instead of just one. Now, I'm someone that still needs to swallow this pill, and I focus a lot of my Twitch streams, which is where I do majority of my work, but I know for a fact if I did a lot less and I focused on the other platforms such as YouTube, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, those all do great and can all help you grow in all your avenues.
On your main platform.
Exactly, and that's where you want to make sure you grow on all your avenues and let them all point towards your main source of income, I guess. And don't expect to get sponsored. Like, remember, if a sponsor approaches you, or if you approach a sponsor, they don't care how many viewers you have, or obviously they care about that, but I mean, they don't care about like what game you play. I think you said earlier, or Cam said earlier about like how good you are at a game. They don't care about that. They want to see what eyes can you bring onto the product. And if you're going to approach a brand and be like, hi, I'll stream every day for you, and I'll give you your logo on my, then that's nothing for them. You have to approach them in a business sense. You have to think about it in a business way. You have to find a way to buy in the gaming world, the corporate world, and that I think is so important. That's something that I had to learn when I just started out. I also thought the same thing. Like, I'll show someone to sponsor me. Before I was Logitech partner, there was none of that. I never even thought for a moment that Logitech would consider me, or when I worked with Red Bull, or anything like that. You have to make the first move essentially. Like you said, you shoot your shot. but you have to make sure that you're ready for it. And you have to understand that brand, they need to make something out of this as well. You can't just be the only beneficiary.
That's also one thing a lot of people have, like, even contacted me, like when Cam came to me for like asking like who can I contact for Nexa. But it's like I also got other questions like how do I join an org? And I think it's not about just joining an org because you want a salary. It's about what you have to offer for the org. So it's like when you approach an org, it's like, okay, I'm a streamer, I play these games. It's like they don't want to know about that. They want to know about what do you have to offer, and it's creating that opportunity of like branching out to other social media platforms as a creator aspect of this, and then it being like, okay, this is an org I want to join, and here's what I have to offer, because I can tell you this. Every single creator will approach with the same thing, and you have to stand out. And you saying, I can offer you this as a streamer, that's what's going to make you stand out for other organizations.
You know, you see so many people that I think like they really want to become famous streamers and things like that, but then they need to also understand the importance of the personality you choose to convey.
And the brand, your whole brand identity that you build up as well.
Yeah.
I had to learn that the hard way. My brand is being as open and honest as possible because people relate to that. People like people relate to someone being honest and open and like saying, hey, this glass of water sucks. I'm not saying that, by the way, I'm trying to make a point. But some people relate to that. Maybe if like Frozen, people will watch you because you are, for example, if I had to watch you, I'd watch you because you're insane. You're insane in games, you hit crazy shot, I find entertainment in that. Geordie does what Geordie does. So
the wholesome stream. Literally opposite of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving it along so well.
But that's the thing. You have to, as Brendan said, you have to say your brand. You have to stick to it. If you have to make changes. That's fine.
But when you make those changes, you have to expect that people might leave. Your opinions will change, and it's quite a big decision to make.
Yes, and one thing you have to take with all of that, like, when you have your brand, you set your standard, you have to understand that not everyone is going to agree with you.
Yes.
Every single time.
All
like you, yes, and that's something that, especially if you have like maybe like a low self-esteem or something like that, like someone not liking you could affect you a lot more than you actually expected, especially if you're in the gaming scene or in the streaming scene or the content creation scene. But you have to kind of just build yourself and make yourself understand that you can literally not impress everyone when it comes to this conversation. Yeah, you have to not only thick skin, but you also have to find ways to work with that people. Because like if someone tells you, listen, I don't like the fact you did X and Y, because they're going to do it publicly. We're public people, we're public figures, we're influencers. Like they're going to call you out publicly. You should be able to just stand your ground then and just be like, well, I'm changing for my better. And then maybe you can convey them. You can show them, listen, I'm actually doing this for the better reason. And then you never know. Those people might get involved again. You maybe open up a whole new scene to yourself of like new people that will see your ideologies or the way you do your content overall.
I think it's such a big thing to understand like how important it is to be confident in your own brand and who you are, because people feed off confidence. Like your biggest selling point in anything is not going to be how much money or product or anything you're selling to your stream or you're pushing to your stream. It's always about your level of confidence, because at the end of the day, that's what humans feed off, is confidence. So if you're confident with just your 3 viewers watching, those 3 viewers are going to bring their friends to come and watch it because you are confident in your brand. You know, I know people that have developed a personality on stream that is vastly different to how they are in person, but they're so confident in that personality and confident in that brand that they have grown at exponential rates because of it. You know, I've seen people that have been streaming for 3-4 years get to Twitch partner status just because they're confident in their personality and they're confident in the brand that they convey. So confidence is definitely key, not just in content creation, but confidence is key in esports too. Because, you know, if you go in there saying, like, even going back to the esports thing, like, you don't want to join a tournament because Bravado is playing, something like that, what's the point? It's not like...
That is not how you're going to grow.
Exactly.
You need to play against the best to become the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how you are the best? Look at you go, bro.
The best in the country.
I didn't go to go.
Vertigo, we'll never forget.
There was that...
Imagine losing. Oh, one versus 3.
Twice. It's not my job.
Yeah, but even then, like, kind of going to a branding perspective then, because again, sponsors can also see the potential if you're also confident in your own brand and confident in your own personality. I mean, again, I'm someone that, you know, I've had the opportunities to work with some large scale brands like Rapu and like Lenovo and various other brands, you know, and brands will also really want to catch on to something that they believe there's potential in, but the only way that you can convey that there's potential within your brand or the content that you create is if you're confident in it. You know, and so brands will see this person's really got potential to get big. And as long as you believe that yourself too, then those brands will really be willing to come on board and start sponsoring you too. And again, that's how you can further elevate your brand. So I mean, that is why confidence is really key in being able to establish yourself as either a content creator or professional esports player within South Africa.
But I mean, I also don't think it's just about the partnership. Like a lot of people are like their head's so focused on, I want to get this partnership or sponsor, and it's not always about that. It's about you growing your own brand or you growing as a player. Okay, so I thought we could end off, should I want to say, with a few interesting questions. Like they're pretty random.
I think you should pick anyone or the person that's answered.
Okay, I feel like.
Just look at Cam.
Oh, sorry. Whoa. Okay.
Cam's face just changed.
Okay, Cam, I want your honest opinion. If you're all in the zombie apocalypse, who would die first and who would end up surviving? Like probably
Out of the four of us.
Out of the four of us.
Can I choose myself?
Of course.
Okay.
So you think you're gonna survive?
No. I think that Enrico will die first.
Why? Okay, why?
Zombieland rule number 1: baddies die first. Tell me I'm wrong.
That's not what I was meaning.
I don't have to be fit, I just need to be fast.
I think Frozen's kind of
He's a kid, dude.
I can fit in touch.
Do you think I'm going to?
Yeah, you'll probably live the longest. Girls are smarter than guys.
What?
Enrico,
You asked
Frozen
me
and I are
about
gonna
me.
push him into zombies. Frozen and I are gonna, I don't know, we'll probably do something stupid and then you'll be alive.
I feel like
We'll make
me.
a grenade in
I'm surprised. I'm surprised by that. I feel like you might live the longest.
I played a lot of Dead Rising.
I feel like Frozen and I were going to be the first ones going.
Oh no, I'm dead first.
I don't want to live with it either.
I've been playing Daisy for quite a while.
True.
Never touched the game, so maybe I will be the first one going. Okay, the next one, I thought we could do Frozen because Frozen is a esports player, and I feel like there's a lot of stereotypes that go around esports players or even gamers in general, I feel. So what if we had to come up with a Tinder bio for Frozen, what would it be? So what would Frozen's Tinder bio be?
Well, I know exactly what it'll say at the top. I don't only flick orbs.
Ooh. Oh damn.
Because, I mean, especially it took Johnny a second.
It took me a second. I was thinking of like gaming stereotypes, and you're busy talking about something completely
Well, an orb
different.
is it's technically in the game, I guess.
Well, you can flick with anything, but like.
Fair enough. I mean, I feel like that would be a good top line. I don't know what you'll
I would mention something about his hair with the fact that he literally does not touch grass, but I feel like that's a bit too cliched as well.
Is she wrong though?
Yeah, I feel it's too cliched, but is it true? I mean, you're playing CS 24/7.
I don't have friends.
Neither do I. I'm a content creator. I literally do social media, but am I social? No.
A different type of social.
Yeah.
All online.
What do you think is my
I don't think I have a good one, but it's not going to be as funny as Enrico.
Come on, bro.
Like, I literally don't know. The 2023 Justin Bieber. I don't know.
Yes!
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Something with his hair. Something with his hair has to be. Okay. So what was the most embarrassing achievement you would have ever earned if it was like an IRL kind of achievement? Am I phrasing that wrong?
No, I understand what she asked.
I have a good question.
Wait.
I have a really good question.
Okay.
I know Jordy's asking a question.
No, that's fine.
What are your thoughts on orange marmalade?
Never had it.
Orange
I've never had marmalade in my
I've
life.
had it on toast.
It's like orange jam.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Did you rate it?
Oh, marmalade.
I wouldn't go out of my way to get it. It's not bad.
Actually, I think we can't be friends anymore. Because I discovered this recently, and it's actually
It's delicious.
I hate jam, dude, but orange jam is beyond.
I'm more of a strawberry jam.
That's
type of guy.
disgusting.
What do you mean that's disgusting? It's fucking delicious.
I'm probably having a Nutella game or some shit.
You probably eat peanut butter as well, don't you?
Peanut butter is amazing.
Cringe.
Okay, I got my question.
Okay, we have the question.
If video game achievements were real life accomplishments, what would the most embarrassing achievement you've earned? Quite a hard question,
It is.
Oh.
but it's a funny question.
Because you now need to think bad about yourself.
Well, the one that I can mention is like it's only going to be funny for a certain amount of people, but in World of Warcraft, this is like one of my favorite games.
That's enough.
Exactly.
Achievement unlocked.
I've told them I want to play WoW. I wanted
Why
to
would
teach me
you
how
want to play WoW?
It's amazing. It's just amazing, but there's an achievement if you collect 50 dresses, and I have that achievement.
So you wear dresses in WoW?
Well, no, in the game you can like pick, like your character has the different like equipment slots, and one of them is like a chest, and one is a dress piece.
So you're telling me you're dress up
It's a shirt.
in the anime made costume?
No, I'm not
Like
doing that.
Captain.
No.
I love that, by the way.
But yes, that'll be the most embarrassing. I feel like the fact that I can wear that probably to like I collect 50 dresses.
I'm silver in CSGO, I mean, I don't know that.
I don't know how you're so much better than me. I know I'm carried, but I'm lame. I am lame.
Yeah, we
It's in my dreams.
I think my most embarrassing achievement would be that I've worn makeup.
Yeah, but that's not an
I was like, surely there's some sort of achievement of you playing a certain amount of hours. How many hours do you have?
But that's not
in the
embarrassing.
game?
It's pretty embarrassing.
I
Okay, as a gamer,
It shows
it's pretty impressive. But if you had someone outside the gaming scene, like
Yeah, they kind of tuned me.
Exactly, so how many hours is it? On CS at least.
Well, on CS it's 9.3k.
Jeez.
how many of those hours do you think are AFK?
None.
No.
Okay,
The ultimate force immediately as soon as he's done his
I already played the game, I played it.
It's trying to make
I just want to remind everyone that what the Champions of Change campaign is actually all about. It's about uplifting the community. And we have tons of giveaways going on at the moment, including a Lenovo Legion 5i laptop. We've got really cool monitors between 300 hertz, 200 hertz going away. We've got cool Legion hampers. All you have to do is literally just sign up, create an account, and you're in it to win it, basically. The more you interact with the threads, the higher chance you have. But enter, I promise you, it's worth it.